Okay, welcome to Tanya Outside In, chapter Lamed Ches, I think part Bays. Um, could be part Gimel actually. I think it's actually part Gimel. We're talking about Kavanas Mitzvah. Kavanas Mitzvah in the Tanya, the way I understand it, is to do with what is the motivation for the mitzvah. Okay, and we've explained that there's two ways that Hashem so to speak, it's definitely part Gimel. Two ways, so to speak, that Hashem uh, dims down his light. There's what's called Simsum and there's what's called Hester Panim. Yeah, Simsum is a din on the quantity of light, and Hester Panim is a din on the quality of the light. Now, if the world was created just with Simsum, um, it, I mean, I'm just guessing. It could look exactly as it looks here, as it is in now reality right now, but you would be utterly aware of God. Simpson would allow for an apparent other, but it would not allow for that other to feel independent. So it's like there's no, when you talk about you and your body, yeah, you and your body is one. Your body is a gateway to you. Your body is not something separate from you, although you're not your body. Yeah, you're merged, you're one with your body. So if Hashem created the world through just Tzimtzum, that would, in a sense, like be like you would be able to see his body, so to speak. Yeah. Hester Panim concealed that. So it went from, in a sense, Hashem went from, you know, infinite, um, infinitely powerful light to less powerful light, but it was still godly light. That was Tzimtzum. Hester Panim was a veil that was put over that now means that that light doesn't look like the original light. And that's what gives birth to our world, which is a world of Klipa v'Sitra Achra. Okay, what does it mean that it was full of Klipa and Sitra Achra? It means, so Ben, um, a world that's full of Klipa and Sitra Achra really, basically, when you boil it down, just means that it has its own independent sense of self. That's what it means. It takes on lots of different forms, but that's the panemius of the whole thing is that it has its own sense of independent self, which means I feel like I exist independently of God, which is really bizarre because when you think about it, even on a physical level, um, you are dependent on so many things. For example, if you don't breathe for like 30 seconds, you're in big trouble, or 1 minute, whatever it is. So you can't, it's like there's a lot of mashalim in the world to help you understand that really you're completely dependent on God. Yeah, the first and most profound of all the mashalim is avir. You need air. If you don't breathe, you die. Then you need water. If you don't drink, you die. Then you need food. If you don't eat, you die. Yeah, so there's lots of mashalim in the world to show that you are dependent. Yeah, but we forget that we're ultimately dependent on God because of Hester Panim. Okay, so now this world is a world which is full of klipa and sitra achra, which means it's a world where God is hidden. That's what it means when I feel that I have my own sense of independent self. That means the reason why that's possible is because God is hidden, and that's called Hester Panim. Panim is the face. You recognize someone from their face. So why is the phrase Hester Panim? He concealed his face. It could just be, Hester Atzmai, concealed himself, or just Hester. Yeah, but Hester Panim means he concealed his face, means he's now not recognizable. That's what it means by to conceal the face. The person's not recognizable. So in this case, Hashem is now not recognizable. So this world is not qualified by. This world is, um, let's say, created by way of Klippa and Sitra Achra. And that means everything in this world basically denies God's existence. Meaning, you don't look at anything in this world and think about God. You have to use your mind to think about God when you look at something of this world, except for things that are holy. Yeah. But still, things that are holy, and this is the point, is they still, when you look at a mezuzah, you might think about God, but you don't. No, no, it's not really the truth, mezuzah. The, everything of this world is concealed within the klipa of Noiga, and that's shaveh for the whole world. Okay, that's not a completely true statement, but there's more to it than that. But everything in this world is covered with the klipas noiga. That's what this world is. Whether you are thinking, speaking, or doing, whether it's a table, whether it's a cat, whether it's a tree, all the things of this world are basically klipas noiga. So now, where does that hold with something like a mezuzah? Because a mezuzah is more kadosh than things of this world, yeah, than a table. But it's still made of the same stuff as the table's made of, give or take. So the substance of the mezuzah does not scream God. The mitzvah of the mezuzah screams God. Because that mezuzah, if we puzzled it, that would be a treif mezuzah. That wouldn't be revealing God. It's the actual halacha of the mezuzah, yeah, the mitzvah of the mezuzah that reveals God. But the actual physicality of the mezuzah is the same as the physicality of a cow, the same as the physicality of a table, etc. Yeah, but there is more light. It's not. It's still concealed, but there's more light. So let's see if we can piece this together now. Let's go back a little bit. Okay, for us, we're on page Kaf Dalad. We're on page Kaf Dalad. At the bottom, three lines up, the Ha'oros. Okay, the Ha'oros Ratzon Ha'elyon, the light of the Ratzon Ha'elyon Hazeh, Hamerim Lebeshes B'Kavanazu, that becomes enclosed. Wait, wait a minute. Can you just admit all? I don't know what's going on. Okay. The Ha'aros Ratzon Elyon Hazeh, the light of the Ratzon Elyon, this is what we've been talking about before, yeah. Me'irim Lebeshes B'Kavana Zu, that becomes enclosed within this Kavana. Shon Gavril. He Gedoyle Ein Case L'Mayla Mayla Ma'aros Ratzon Elyon Me'irim Lebeshes B'Kiyim Mitzvahs Atzmam B'Maisa Ubedibur B'Li Kavana. Kagoidel Milas Or Hanashama Al Haguf Shukli Umalbush Neshama. That we've got the level of light in the neshama and the level of light in the goof. All of creation is composed of goof and neshama. We're not talking about the goof and neshama compared to each other. We're talking, so to speak, of the neshama of the neshama and the neshama of the goof. Okay? The reason why the goof doesn't disband and just disband is because of the neshama of the goof. So when we're talking about the goof has a neshama, meaning The general word we'd say is there's your goof and the neshama, but we're talking about the neshama of the goof. It's hard to say it, meaning the force, the spiritual force that keeps the goof from disbanding, not the actual neshama that causes the goof to gives life to the goof. We're talking about the neshama that gives kiyum to the goof, that gives existence to the goof. The reason why your goof, see, why does it not happen that the minute when the neshama leaves the goof, yeah, if the neshama is causing the kiyum of the goof, see, when the neshama leaves the goof, yeah, the goof is dead, yeah. The neshama brings the life to the goof. So when the neshama leaves the goof is dead. Why doesn't the goof immediately vanish? Because the kiyum of the goof is coming from a different neshama. That's the neshama of the goof. You've got the neshama of the organism, so to speak, which resides in the goof, but then you've got the neshama of the goof that gives kiyum to the goof. The neshama gives life to the goof, and the neshama of the goof gives kiyum to the goof. It gives it its existence. That's why when a person dies, the goof doesn't just disappear; it slowly rots, and that is a gradual histolcus. How to say that? A gradual removing of itself, something like that. A gradual. It's the neshama of the goof gradually leaving, and that's why eventually it just becomes dust. Whereas you would think that if the neshama was giving life to the goof, when the neshama would leave the goof would just disappear. But that's the point, and this is what we're saying. So the level of light necessary to keep the see the neshama of my goof. Is everyone clear what I mean when I'm saying the neshama of my goof? Not meaning the neshama that's in my goof, the neshama of my goof. Yeah, that is the same neshama as the neshama of a stone. A stone has a neshama or a nefesh. The nefesh of the stone keeps the stone from disbanding and being nothing. But there's no life in the stone. It doesn't have life. So the neshama, the nefesh of the stone gives it its
Kiyum? I mean, it's
kiyum.
kiyum?
Yeah, exactly. It gives it its kiyum.
It's Dvar Hashem. Dvar Hashem in that thing.
The thing is that the neshama, the stone also has a neshama of a it has a neshama and it has a neshama and it has a neshama of its goof. It's difficult to hear it. It's a little bit difficult to
There's
say.
a kiyum and a chiyus, just like
Yeah,
everything
And
else.
what doesn't have it? Do trees? Everything has a neshama, brother Goof.
yes. That gives it a goof. The goof needs a neshama not to give it life, but to give it existence.
Kiyum. It needs just say
Kiyum.
a Dvar Hashem. It needs
Yeah, but
I
you
don't know what
realize
means
I'm
it needs a
hesitating because the Devar Hashem already starts to give it its life. Like a rock has life. A rock has kiyum and life. The rock has life. So the rock has kiyum. Yeah,
it
it
exists
it is.
and it has texture and
But now
qualities
that's its
that does.
life. That's its life. A rock is a rock. It's not. It's not water. The life of water is one thing, and the life of a rock is another thing. They both have the same kiyum, like your body has the same kiyum as well. Yeah, Michael.
Are we being specific between saying neshama or nefesh when we're
No,
talking about the
no.
kiyum? Okay, okay.
No. I'm not. But I'm being loose right now. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. So okay. So now you can't compare the light of the neshama to the light of the neshama of the goof. So when we're talking about a mitzvah without kavanah is like a goof without a neshama, we're saying that it's like the neshama of the goof. it's not the actual, there's still a minimum. When we're talking about a minimum amount of kavana, we're talking about mitzvahs enashim u'melamada, which means a minimum. It means there's no kavana. It's being
How
done
could it do
without.
anything? How could it do anything if it's done without kavanah? If the whole idea that a mitzvah does something because it's but you're mavata yourself to Ratzon Hashem. If you're doing it with no kavanah, you're not doing anything.
Well, that's mitzvahs enashim u'melamada. That's called doing a
That's
mitzvah
nothing.
without kavana. No, it's not nothing. Chas v'shalom.
Again, if the whole amazing thing about a mitzvah is that it's bringing Hashem's Ratzon into the world, you're saying you're still doing that even though you're not thinking that.
Yeah,
Still, at the end of the day, it's happening.
mitzvahs enashim u'melamada is something that's the kedusha goes to klipa. Sorry, it doesn't go to klipa. It doesn't. So it goes into klipa by a negative kavana. Yeah, Leo's Talmud Chochem goes into klipa's noga, but otherwise it doesn't go into klipa. It doesn't. This is the point, and this is the whole thing. It's much easier to talk about this outside. We've got all these different levels. Yeah, you've got to be a Talmud Chochem. Yeah, why are you doing the mitzvah? Why are you learning Torah to be a Talmud Chochem? Okay, what's that got to do with God? Nothing. It's about me. That's called klipa. Yeah, then the energy of the mitzvah goes into klipa. Then you've got the level above that, which is mitzvah enashim u'melamada, which is basically hergel, habitual mitzvahs. Yeah, you're doing it like this morning. Yeah, you've davened shachris. You know, were you davening shachris like? Did you jump out of bed thinking, "Rabbeinu Shloim, I'm coming. I'm here. I know you need me to daven. I'm going to do that." Yeah, you get out of bed and you go to shul. You daven. Okay, that's called mitzvah enashim u'melamada. There's no kavana there. You just do it. Yeah. Then you've got the level of natural midos, which is you're doing it for God on a lower level, but you're still doing it for God. That means it's energized by emotion. Yeah. And then there's the intellect, which basically means much more powerful emotions. It means emotions that have been generated by intellect, and that's now a much more higher level of mitzvah where God is even more real. So let's see. Let's try and explain it from inside now. So Kamoi gufa mitzvah atzma shu kli umalbish lekavanasa. The body of the mitzvah is a kli and a levush to its kavana. V'asher shteihem, and even though that both of them, the mitzvah uva kavanasa, malubish ratzon echad pashu b'tachlis pshitas bli shum shinui v'riboy chas v'shalom, even though the mitzvah, no matter how the mitzvah is done, it's completely bound up in Hashem. It's not equal on the level of the amount of light. And it is divided into 4 levels. Ki gufa mitzvahs atzma mamash, because the gufa, the mitzvah itself, mamash heim beis madregas, has 2 levels. Shein mitzvahs maisias mamash, the mitzvahs bedivo machshava. He divides it into those 2. So you've got the mitzvahs maisias, and then you've got the mitzvahs that are dependent on thought and speech. Which includes all of those things. We're not talking about right now Yediyas Torah. We're talking about Talmud Torah. Like by the way I understand it is that I just lost my thought 1 minute. Right now it's very late in the night for me. Oh yeah, that mitzvah's done like with sorry. Yeah. the mitzvahs of Talmud Torah, like for example, reading halacha svarim, reading kitzvah halacha svarim, yeah, that don't get into anything like that. That is considered a mitzvah of dibor. It's not the inyan of that. That's basically all Talmud Torah, like reading Chumash as a storybook. Just getting the basic story and getting the basic understanding is not considered using your mind in the Torah. That's not because that's like Birchas Hamazon. That's like Kriya Shema. Those obviously you can take it to a level of the mind, but a mitzvah of dibor in this sense is not considered really. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about Yediyas Torah at this point, yeah, and that's the same in Tefillah as well. Yeah, that's called dibor because obviously dibor uses your mind as well. But that's the point, is when we're talking about these very kind of low mind activities, like just reading halachas fire or just reading through Chumash, yeah, without really being iron into it and understanding it and connecting it and delving, etc. Yeah, that's called Talmud Torah. That's not a din on using the brain so much. Yeah, the kavanas mitzvahs ledabka bo yizbrach, and the kavana of the mitzvah, which is to be dabak in Hashem, which means attached to Hashem. Shehi kan neshama leguf shehi kan neshama leguf. That is like the neshama compared to the body. Nechleches gam kein shtei medregas. That is also divided into two levels. K'mo shtei medregas and neshama shein beguf chumri shein chai u'medaber. So we've got. Let's go back again. You have to break this down. Okay, you've got this FLP for the last wide line before the note. Yeah, FLP chen ha'ora ein neshama b'chinas tzimtzum is pashtus. That the light is not even when it comes to with the content of amount of light. The necklace gam kein la'arba madregas, and that's divided into four levels. Ki guf mitzvahs atzma mamash hein beis madregas. So the goof of the mitzvah, yeah, is two levels. Shein mitzvahs ma'asias, that's the lowest level, mamash. Mitzvahs to do b'dibor or machshava. Yeah, those are called goof. Yeah, we're going to make this matrix of the lowest level is called the Maisa mitzvah. Then the next level is called the dibor and machshava of the mitzvah. That's still not the concept of kavana. Those are mitzvahs that are dependent. That the actual.
That's also a mitzvah. That's a mitzvah. It's being mechalik to tell you that don't think that's more ruchni than another mitzvah. They're all just
no. It is more. It's more ruchni, but there's the mitzvah of Yichud Hashem. Yeah, you've got a mitzvah of Yichud Hashem. You've got the mitzvah of Avos Hashem. You've got mitzvahs that you've got the mitzvah of tefillah, and you've got the mitzvah of brochas. Yeah, that's different to the mitzvah of lulav and esrog and tefillin. The goof of the mitzvah of lulav and esrog and tefillin is a physical goof, but the goof of the mitzvah of Kriya Shema and brochas and Talmud Torah and tefillah is not a physical goof. It's oisius, but it's not a goof. It's not like a physical goof. It's called a goof. That's what I'm trying to say. So there's two kinds of goofei mitzvah. There's the goof of the mitzvah, which is like this. Yeah, that's tefillin and talis and arba minim, yeah? Then you've got the goof of the mitzvah that you can't go like that to. It's like this. There's nothing there. That is the mitzvahs of speech and machshava. So Kriya Shema, you're not using, it's not considered the kavana of the mitzvah when you just have pashat pshat. The pashat pshat of the mitzvah is I'm makabel all malchus shemayim. That's the goof of the mitzvah. That's the physicality of the mitzvah, even though it's not a physical thing. That's not yet the kavana. That's not a motivation. You with me?
The goof of the if it is saying the words, not O Malchus Shemayim. Saying the words is the goof. Saying the words.
And having the machshava. Okay, if you have to, I think you do have to think become more malchus shemayim with Kriya Shema. But the kavana of avos, yeah, or the kavana in benching. There needs to be a minimal kavana that you know that you're benching. Yeah,
Okay, depending.
that's considered a chelik of the goof of the mitzvah. You with me? That's the point. That's very important to understand. So the goof of the mitzvah doesn't have to just be like the Arba Minim and the physicality of the tefillin. If there's a level of requirement, a basic requirement of speech, like for example, Kriya Shema, yeah? If you say the words in your mind, you're not Yotzi. You have to put the words out of your mouth. So where's the goof of the mitzvah? That's the goof of the mitzvah. It's not a physical goof like the goof of the mitzvah tefillin. But nevertheless, that's the goof. So those two levels make up the lower hay and the first vav of Hashem's name, or however we break it down, yeah? Those are the first name. Now we have two madregas of kavana. Okay? That's going to be the two higher letters of Hashem's name. So we've got two madregas of goof and two madregas of kavana. We didn't mention the two madregas of kavana yet. The two madregas of goof are the physical goof of mitzvahs maisius, and then the ruchni goof of mitzvahs taliyu bedibo machshava. Is that making a bit of sense? Okay, so now the next shlav of the puzzle is, yeah, a kavanas the mitzvah, the kavanah of the mitzvah, which is what? Which is to be davik to him. What does that mean? The mitzvah to be davik to Hashem doesn't mean to feel Hashem.
Do His will.
It means that I'm davik to you. I'm your remember, whenever someone says the vakus, whenever I see that, I always look at my hand and I realize that my hand is davik to my goof. That's it. It's davik to my goof. How does that feel? How does that feel? That's not a relevant term. It's attached to. It's one with. That's what we want. That's what we do. That's the kavanah of the mitzvah. That's what it means. Rabbeinu Shloilem, I'm yours. I'm a chelik of the mitzvah. I'm your hand. Doesn't mean that you've got your eyes closed. Yeah, you might have your eyes closed, but that's not what it's about. Nothing more than closing your eyes. As long as you don't bang into anything. Okay. Shtei madregas, kamo shtei madregas and neshama, sheim beguf achumri, shein chai umedaber. So we've got two madregas of neshama. Yeah. We've got the four kingdoms. We've got inanimate, vegetable, animal, human. Inanimate goes with the goof of the Maisa mitzvah. Yeah. Vegetable goes with the goof of the mitzvah that is dependent on speech and machshava. Those are the two goofim of the mitzvah. Then you've got the two, so to speak, neshamas of the mitzvah, which is connected the neshama of the chai and the neshama of the daber, of the medaber. I told you this is complex stuff. This is Tanya at its most difficult. It really is. For example, someone whose mind is mamash yafeh, to know Hashem, and he is misboinen on what Hashem means, what that is. And from that thinking, he gives birth to Yira Ilah b'moichoy v'avaz Hashem b'chala yemini shebeliboy. That he gives birth to a high Yira Ilah in his mind, and more important in this case, a avaz Hashem in the right ventricle of his heart, that he ends up kind of chalashing to be davik to Hashem. So you see, this is the motivation, that he's used his mind in such a way. I'm dealing with somebody right now in a difficult marriage situation, and he's got his back against the wall because his wife wants him to help out in the house, yeah? But she only wants him to help out in the house if he wants to help out. So he's like between a rock and a hard place because he doesn't want to, yeah, but he's doing it. So she's, well, if you don't want to do it, I don't want you to do it. And he's like, well, which one for me? You asked me to do it, I'm doing it. Yeah, but she says, but you don't want to do it. Yeah. I know, but I'm doing it. Like, what do you want? You want to take a screwdriver and fix my heart, you know? And I was telling him that's chapters 16 and 17 in the Tanya. And so I said to him, what do you say to your wife? She says to him, but I want you to do it. And he said, I'm doing it. She says, yeah, but I want you to do it. Not, I want you to want to do it. So he says, so I said to him, say like this, I do want to do it. Just my Midas don't want to do it. I want to do it, Haraya. I'm doing it against my Midas. That's the ultimate. That's the best. Yeah, it's all. It's supposed to.
They don't see it that way.
Well, let's see. Okay, I think it made a difference. Either way, that's the Indian of the Tanya. Is you're right. You don't want to do it, but you know it's the right thing to do. So really, you do want to do it. Your Midas don't want to do it, and you're now trumping your Midas. So
there's a part of me that wants to do it, and there's a part of me that doesn't.
No.
And as mature.
No.
There's a part of me that wants to do it. That's my Nefesh Eligus, and there's my Nefesh Habahamis that doesn't want to do it.
You want to do it. There's a part of me that doesn't want to do it, but I want to do it. That's the reframe. That's the point. Not a part of me that wants to do it. I want to do it. There's a part of me that doesn't want to do it.
Maybe I'm usually identifying with my other part.
Okay.
Except during Shachris. I'm saying it's not incorrect to say that I have two parts. I'm schizophrenic, and sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yeah, but when you talk in this sense, it's really I want to do it, and I'm going against. And the proof is that you're going against a part of you that doesn't want to do it. So this is the avoider that the Dabka boy means that you've used your mind in such a way that you actually do want to do it. Your Midas want to do it. You've got it so viscerally clear in your mind that your Midas actually go along with it, and now you really, really want to do it. Not just like a guy who wants to do it; his emotions want to do it. Yeah, that like naturally he's kind of in love with God a little bit. Yeah, we're talking about a guy now or a woman who has used their mind to generate really like in a sense, it's kind of in a sense artificial emotions, and that really sets human beings aside from animals, because human beings get really like, watch the football, watch the World Cup football now, yeah, or not that I don't recommend to watch that, but watch the people watching the football. People get mamash crazy over it, yeah. Animals don't get crazy over stuff like that. They don't get crazy over anything because they don't have a mind that allows them to catalyze their emotions. Does that make sense? So the human being is the one. The human being is the one who can use his mind to catalyze emotions. The animal just has emotions. So the highest level is called medaber. That's the human emotion. That's called the intellectual, the intelligent emotions, meaning you used your mind to catalyze very, very powerful emotions. The lower level is called the level of the animal, which is the natural emotions inborn in the Jewish soul. Yeah, to do Ratzon Hashem, to be Davik to Hashem. They are much less visceral, much less dynamic, much less passionate, much less powerful than the emotions that have been catalyzed with the human mind. So now let's just finish this off, and I'll say outside. Then so now Ki misha data yafil dases Hashem, the person who has a good mind to know Hashem, Lizboina good lasa yizbrach. By the way, that's important, Ladases Hashem, because we're talking about das. We're talking about when the intelligence affects the heart. You identify with the thinking. Yeah, Lizboina good lasa Hashem, Lahoilin mebinasei yira ilah, and it creates a higher level yira b'moichoi. Yeah, which basically means an emotion in the mind, or a conviction of the mind. Yeah, and an emotion in the right ventricle of the heart. That his nefesh is thirsting for God, to be davik to him, they kiyam Torah mitzvahs through the doing of this Torah mitzvahs. Sheinam shachas va'oros or ein sof bochu al nafshoi ledabka boy ubekuvana zuhu ubekuzamazu loy made umakayim mitzvah hamitzvahs. And with this intense yearning to be bound up with the Rebbeinu Shalom, he goes and does the mitzvah. So that energy that is the pneumius of the mitzvah. Translated into English, that is the motivation behind the mitzvah. His motivation behind the mitzvah is a visceral, powerful emotion that was generated by the heart, or at least catalyzed through the mind. Yeah, and that is what he's doing the mitzvah. And with this kavana, he davens, he blesses. Yeah, hare kavana zu, this kavana al derech Moshe going nishmas medaber. That, according to Moshe, is like the neshama of the medaber, the human. Why? Shu bal seichel b'chira v'das ubedas yedaber. This is the because he's a bal seichel, he has free will, and it's with he integrates. He's speaking and he's affecting himself with his speech. So that is a very powerful emotion, and that's, by the way, the reason why the college activists are so much more dangerous than the regular thug in the street, because the college activists are much more. They've used their mind to catalyze their emotions. Yeah, the regular thug in the street is just, he hasn't used his mind. He might have done, but generally he wouldn't have used his mind to catalyze his emotions. So his emotions are going to be less powerful. Okay, so that's the level of the highest level, and we'll finish off and we'll explain what it means. And someone who's a bit stupid, he doesn't have such a good head on him, yeah? Who doesn't have the intellectual capabilities to give birth to a visceral emotion in his heart, yeah? Yeah, the love and the fear that he has for Hashem is just it's the natural love that is part and parcel, a chelik of the neshama. Yeah, umoisia me'helem hester halev elagulu b'moyach al kol panim. 1 minute, 1 second. I just need to get a running start again. 1 moment. וכן, הייר המויכה בפחד השם בליבו, רק שזויכה מאוירס אהבה תביאס מוסרס בליבו, מויצי מההלם והסתר הלב אל הגילוי במויח על כל פנים. It becomes a convict. It's just, there's a gilui in the moyach. It's kind of funny because we call the other love a seichel dika love, which is using the mind to catalyze the heart. Yeah. This is called a natural love, which is really catalyzed. It's just the heart doing its thing, but it leaves an imprint in the mind. So that love in the heart, yeah, leads to a gilui b'moyach al kol panim. It leads to a revelation of that feeling in the mind, and then he therefore has an intelligent desire to do the mitzvah, meaning it makes sense. This is the right thing to do. Do I really want to do it? Are my emotions invested in the mitzvah? Not really, meaning the emotions gave me the intellectual rationale to do the mitzvah. Okay? Sorry, go 1 second. Time is leeway. Umaskim mitzvah seberitzui gamo be'emes la'amito limsu nafsha b'poyol mamash al yichud Hashem, and therefore his midas, so to speak, are like a muskim. They're in agreement, yeah, with a complete agreement to give themselves up for Hashem. But poil mamash al yichel Hashem k'dei ledabka boy nafshe elokis levusheha. V'lekabi yichud v'achaduso shehu ratzon elyon melubish p'tamator kim mitzvahs kanal v'gam a yira kalula ba lekabel malchuso shelo limoid boy chaz v'shalom. Let's keep going. And with this kavana, which is basically a conviction in the mind, yeah, although it's called a natural love of the heart, it leads to an intelligent thought. I should do this. I should give my life up for God. The other guy isn't thinking I should give my life up for God. The guy with the intellectual emotions, because the emotions are so visceral, it's just, of course. Whereas this guy is choosing to give himself up for God. This is the lower level. To choose to give your life up for God is lower than the real Mesiras Nefesh of the Tanya, where there's no choice. You're just giving your life up for God. Okay, and with this kavana, which is like a conviction, he turns away from evil and he does good. And he davens and he makes the brachas with just like the basic understanding, without a revealed love in the heart and mind. This is the Baal Chai. This is in the moshel, the neshama of the animal that isn't a Baal Seichel and a Baal Bechira. I don't understand why it's not the Baal Bechira, because it's because you didn't choose the energy in the first place. Let's just get to the edge. Let's just grab.
Natural.
Well, it's natural, but that natural love leads you to make a decision in your mind that you'll give your life up for God. But that's not called Bechira. That's not Bechira, because remember, Bechira is not really something you choose. Bechira is Bechira is the choosing goes through you. Let's keep going.
You're saying you're doing it out of habit, and therefore there's
no, you're not out of habit. You're not out of habit. You're choosing.
You're choosing to put on the tefillin. It's just that your energy is latent.
No, but
your emotion.
That's not called bechira. You're choosing because it makes sense. Remember, bechira in the Tanya is a choosing beyond sense. Let's finish. Let's get to the edge of the swimming pool here. B'chol midosav, and all of his midas, shein yirasoi, medabrim, medevarim, amazikin, oisoi, and all of his midas, yeah, are to do with, he has fear from things that could cause him damage. Avasa, the devarim, and ne'ahavim, it's like, and a love of things that are lovable. Hein rak taviyim, it's just, you know, you love things that are lovable and you hate things that are hateable. That's just you. Yeah, that's teva. Yeah, it's like v'loy mebinaso v'datoi. He didn't generate the feelings himself. Yeah, kach hein al derech Moshe yir v'ya'ava teviyos hamustaras belev kol Yisrael. These in the moshel that we're talking about are the natural emotions that are latent in the heart of all of Yisrael. Ken Yerushalanu. They are an inheritance to us. Me'avisenu. Yeah, u'kumoi teva me'avisenu k'niz kalel. Okay, Hamavin Yavin. Okay, these chapters are very, very complicated and take a huge amount of work. There's no way that we can understand that in just going through it like that, but it is worth putting the time in. Anyway, Shkoyach.
Why do we care if it's like a Baal Chai or not?
Well,
why do you care if the ikr of the mitzvah is the fact that you're batal to Hashem, the fact that you're doing His ratzon?